Hey guys, it's me, Matt Kuhn, with Total Engagement, which is a short, daily wrestling podcast available on all your podcast platforms, whether we're talking about news of the day, hot takes, instant reaction, retro clips, or even crime and wrestling. It's got a little something for every wrestling fan. It's Total Engagement, daily, powered by Wrestlezone.
Let's get going, everybody. It's your post show for Monday Night Raw. Boxing star Tyson Fury was in the ring. Did Braun Strowman feel the sting? We don't want to be daft because we're a week away from the WWE Draft. Hello, Bakersfield, California.
Yeah!
They said the name of our town. We just came out of Monday Night Raw on the USA Network. It was 3 hours of TV to let you know that they're going to do the WWE Draft next week. The big selling point was a face-off between Tyson Fury and Braun Strowman that ended the show. We had several big matches on the show. I really feel the women stole the night, and I'll tell you about that in just a moment. I'm Kevin Kellam, coming to you from the NBC Tower in downtown Chicago. Joining me from Florida, a man who looks like Seth Rollins but did not appear on television tonight. No, I'm talking about Robert DeFelice. Robert, Monday Night Raw is in the books, and you guys watching live can tell us exactly what you thought of the show. What did you think of it? What was your big takeaway? What was the big story? Obviously, Tyson Fury, Braun Strowman.
I think that is the overall big takeaway. My favorite segment, much like yours, was the women. The Charlotte and Becky are on another plateau. They are Rock and Austin. They are just otherworldly with how good they are with being the total package. Asuka and Kairi cut a promo in Japanese, and I thought it was fantastic.
You dug that? You were into that one?
I dug that because, let them be them. They're having fun. We can believe that they're, saying mean things about what Charlotte and Becky Lynch. And I thought it was very good. I did not we were a little late. We stayed after the live Wrestlezone Daily, and I put on Raw, and the first thing I see is Lana taking her clothes off while laying in bed with Bobby Lashley.
Let's start from the beginning and work our way up to Tyson Fury and Braun Strowman. We'll work our way through the bad stuff here. And by the way, you guys can use your emoji buttons there. You see up there. If you like something that we're talking about, you liked a certain angle, hit it. If you didn't like it, you can hit that too. All right. If you really love something, hit that heart button. All right. That's what they're there for. Let us know what you guys think. So what do you think of them using a lot of titillation to open up the show? Cut to this thing here. We got Lana in bed with Bobby Lashley under the covers, removing her bra strap and teasing something. Rusev is so mad. And then Randy's the name of a
Randy.
So Randy, that's a great Aziz Ansari character from the movies. Randy with 8 A's. So anyway, he's laughing outside the ring. Randy Orton and Baron Corbin and King Corbin is sitting there, and they're just having a chuckle. And Rusev loses his mind and goes off on them and beats him up in Bakersfield, California. Yeah! A town that really responds to their name being said throughout the night. They went nuts for Rusev, whomping on these two men, making fun of him. I particularly liked how Rusev ran 8 feet, then jumped, then did a Sabat kick to launch Randy Orton over the guard railing. That was my personal favorite part of this. What do you think of Rusev losing his mind because he's a cuckold man? He's been cuckolded by his former wife.
What? I still, let's just remove logic from this one because we're not going to get it. I have no idea why this is occurring. But I enjoyed that Rusev got emotional and then turned that heartbreak into just sheer aggression.
Yes.
And I think that's what
he will hone the heartbreak to become heavyweight champion.
I think that is more akin to what somebody might do if they saw their wife in bed with another man, rather than last week where he just stood there like, this is not a good time for me. This is a sad time. And I think this was a lot better. That being said, Randy, I think, is a bit above being womped on for being a bully. I don't know. It doesn't seem to fit him. I think maybe Corbin could have gotten womped on. And like Elias could be the dickhead, like just laughing at Rusev.
Yes, Bob Coates saying 2 cuckold stories on Raw. Oh joy!
What is that? They're getting really freaky and experimental on Monday Night Raw.
You can't. I mean, it's something more where they can do kind of like talk show, trashy smashy ooh type stuff than actual sex, like sexualization and pure straight up, hey, look at this hot gorgeous girl with a very skimpy outfit on. I mean, you're gonna have attractive people on TV, men and women, and you're gonna go there and so play off relationships, and so they're kind of doing that. Another thing, as much as hardcore fans, you and I think this is crazy, there's a lot of casual fans that really like this stuff. A lot of people like watch Total Divas respond to stuff like that and are like, ooh, you got your man. Or
the same people who got all gaga about the rumor and innuendo that John Cena broke up with Dinky Bella to be with Carmella, which was totally unfounded. But, I get it. There's an audience there for that. There's a 24-hour news cycle for that side of life. It kind of bleeds over into our side of life sometimes. And it's at least an attempt at giving everybody a story. That I will give the benefit of the doubt.
Our good, faithful follower, James Espanto Fernando. He says, Big Kev, have you been to Bakersfield, California? No, I have not. They are just glad their town isn't in the news. Their town.
What goes down in Apache Junction. So it looks like James is familiar with Bakersfield. Bakersville.
Not familiar with the story. Johnny Yu saying the cuck story has killed Rusev Day. I don't know if it killed Rusev Day.
It's cuckold day now. Oh my god, it's that day. I'm waiting for him and Mike Kanellis to become a tag team. Of just like 2 men.
We're just gonna call the cucks.
But they're not treated right by their significant others, so they found a healthy partnership amongst each other.
They'll be called Broken Boys.
they're the Broken Boys, but it's not BOIS.
The Broken Heart Boys. I'm going through something. But what I'm going through is you for the tag team titles.
they're the Broken Boys. They're gonna not steal your girl, but they might steal your belts.
Let's talk about the match of the night. It occurred in the first half hour of the show. We had that big Rusev beatdown, but the match of the night for me, it goes to Lacey Evans. Lacey Evans, of all people, had the match of the night. She is certainly a character who knows how to get a reaction out of an audience, and I know how to spell night correctly, finally. But this was really, really something unique. Lacey Evans as a beatdown, low-down heel, knocking down Natalya and in a last women standing match, sitting there and posing and preening while the referee counted, and she demanded that he count faster. And they got nasty and gritty. They did some unique stuff with a kendo stick where Natalya was kind of like pinned into an office chair and had to like struggle to get the kendo stick off of her. The beatdown outside of it on the platform, throwing each other into the sliding screen and like their bodies like sliding down like they were getting whipped into like a skateboard ramp. It was a unique thing, but that power bomb off the table, off the ramp through a table on Lacey Evans, an insane bump. Natalya looks strong, a strong new baby face, a strong heel goes down. Great over-the-top storyline. And here's the thing. I wasn't feeling Natalya and Lacey too much as a story. I really thought there was a lot of blunder, some botch moves by Lacey in certain matches to build up to this. But I got to admit, Natalya is just one of those journeywomen in WWE that fans will always respond to and always have a sweet spot for. And Lacey has really developed something of just being this I'm better than you esoteric, character, this debutante that fights. And it worked. It clicked. It was my match of the night.
I liked it as well. I think this was a night for the ladies. The ladies really showed that they can be the focal point of the show because they did so much more than any of the men on this show, in my opinion. And yeah, I think we match the night.
Totally agree. And do you think maybe this sets up Natalya for something big in the draft next week?
I have no predictions for this draft so far because as best I can tell, they don't know the format of how this is going to be. Like, for example, they've announced the Viking Raiders as having a Raw Tag Team title match. Does that mean that it's a given that they're on Raw and that they're exempt from the draft? Who's doing the drafting?
Another thing about the WWE draft is they were teasing it and it's going to do all these different things. There were some interesting things they did with the draft. And this year's draft between Raw and SmackDown does not include NXT. It was interesting because they kept bringing it up how it's going to start on Friday and continue next Monday. All right, that's okay. But the interesting thing was how much they mentioned with this, that it was kind of a battle, not between an authority figure on Raw and an authority figure on SmackDown, but rather between Fox and USA Network. What do you think of that take? I thought that was a unique talking point. I know it's small. I know it's a little detail, but the devil's in the detail. And it was definitely unique. And it made me feel like, oh, this is like a battle between two media companies over the stars that WWE has to offer.
It would be cool if that is how it's presented going forward. I'd like to see, like I said, if you get a legit guy, a representative from Fox or a representative from USA, and you have them drafting these names, it will feel somewhat authentic, which WWE sorely needs right now. I think authentic is a huge buzzword in wrestling right now. Tony Khan says it about 50 times in every interview he does. And it's something that obviously wrestling wants. We have Tyson Fury headlining Raw and Cain Velasquez headlining SmackDown. Authenticity is something they want, clearly.
Other people debating me about whether or not Evans and Natalya had the best match of the night. That was my take. You agree with me. James Ross saying, sorry, Big Kev, I respect your opinion on the storyline is played out, but the match of the night is the Queen and the Man versus the Kabuki Warriors. This was later on in the night. A little bit of a tease in Miz TV between Charlotte Flair. I love Charlotte Flair getting in the ring and demanding that the Miz hold down the ropes for her. A little detail there that I enjoyed. And the trade-off between these two. Now, they were talking about the draft coming up next week because there was a lot of that. But what did you think of Becky Lynch saying, I made that title famous. Now you just have it and your title reigns aren't meaningful like mine are. A little bit of tension there. They've always had that. They've had big feuds in the past. Kabuki Warriors break this up. The new women's tag team champions come out, cut a promo in Japanese. I thought, what is this? But as they went on, I was like, I like it. I don't know what they're saying, but it's clearly not positive. Let's have a match.
Yeah, I like that they were really getting into the idea of, we're going to make fun of you because we're talking to each other. We know what we're saying. And another weird thing with the draft, Becky and Charlotte were told, hey, you could end up on either show. And I don't understand why this line was said to them because they have the titles and they are firmly planted in their brand because they are the Raw Women's Champion and SmackDown Women's Champion. It just seemed like an odd line, but mostly I thought it was a plug for Survivor Series, and they're going to fight.
I enjoy the green mist finish from Asuka. I
love it to death.
It is so commonly threaded through Japanese wrestling history. If you're a Japanese wrestling fan, I think you have to enjoy it. It's a nod to the past. I like the finish. It got them out of there. It didn't even hurt Becky Lynch to take it. But it's clear that they're now heels, which is a little bit of just an overnight switch that felt like it got turned. And Twisted Bliss came out to the ring and cleared the ring. So we're going to get more of the Kabuki Warriors and Twisted Bliss in the future. Other highlights of the night. What did you think throughout the rest of the night? Big 6-man tag match between the OC and Lucha House Party. A lot of high-speed action and influence there. We may not have 205 Live in the future, but we did have some action there. And the OC looked dominant. Do they survive the draft next week on Raw?
Yeah. If you don't, then you're stupid because you just put them together a month or two ago, and they're really good together.
I could see them staying together too. I don't see it changing too much.
And overall, I thought this show was good. I think with the draft showcase stuff you got the stuff from the Queen and the Man, and then you got the Tyson Fury segment. And I personally can't speak too much to this. I don't know much about Tyson Fury, but everybody says he's a big deal. I like Braun Strowman being put with a big deal, and that segment's going to bump my Raw score up to a 5.5.
It's a 5.5 for you. You know what? I'm gonna match you on that. I'm gonna say it's a solid 5.5. Did feel like a lot of the show felt like a holding pattern. Like we were just waiting to see what was going to happen going into the draft, coming out of what was, a pay-per-view that ended on a really sour note for a lot of different fans. Becky Lynch looked strong coming out of the pay-per-view. Charlotte looked strong. Let's get them on TV. Braun Strowman has to do this thing with Tyson Fury. I felt like there was a lot of building blocks they were putting back together. I wanted something a little bit more exciting and meaty to sink my teeth into, but I thought Lacey and Natalya gave you some of that early on. Some development, but a lot of them seem early in storylines, not kind of more as the page turners just yet in terms of the various different stories. So I would have liked to give it a better rating, but I'll match you on that. 5.5, solid right down the middle. Match you got to see for me is Evans and Natalya. But what did you think of Tyson Fury versus Braun Strowman? That closes out a Raw that we give a straight middle-of-the-road review to. I did think this was a good pull-apart segment. I love the tease of Braun going backstage to the gorilla position to cut a promo about his square off and just being pulled apart from Tyson Fury, the boxing champion from Europe, only to run back into the ring and get back into that ring in like 20 seconds. It was crazy how fast he got down to the ring. What do you think of this? I know you can't speak too much on Tyson Fury, but is this guy going to be dollars at the box office for WWE if they have a potential match at Crown Jewel?
I'm guessing that he will be. I do think it'll be Crown Jewel. I think it would work better, in all honesty, as an attraction match for Survivor Series. But I think we end up getting it at Crown Jewel. And maybe it's even in a cheeky, 10 rounds of boxing.
I don't know. I don't think you need to do that.
You would be surprised.
Maybe they're going to do the old. What did they do with Mayweather and Floyd Mayweather and Big Show?
That was a knockout only.
It was an exhibition. It was like they called it like an exhibition. They're going to have some type of hokey work version of this. It's going to be a wrestling match, but they're going to do things that hide Tyson's weaknesses as a pro wrestling performer. There's things physically he probably doesn't have a skill to do. But you could definitely tell he felt like he was at home in there. He had personality. He was not dull on the microphone, but I wouldn't call him electrifying, to say the least. And certainly, he was saying, "Come on, Gypsy King, I'm the Gypsy King, come up me," and wanted some of that. And what do you think here? Can him and Braun, just with the size, he didn't look nearly as big as Braun does. But Braun kept putting over the idea of, hey, you're an outsider, you're coming in here and you're offending me here. I think there's something there. I think maybe internationally this is a little bit more attractive than maybe domestic wrestling fans here in the United States. This is really plays to me more like an international sell to Europe.
Yeah, if there's a big show in Europe, I think it'd be a great place to do that. If you do like a super showdown or something in Europe, I think that would be awesome. But it looks like Saudi Arabia will get it, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Other people, Johnny, you saying he would have liked a little bit more Ricochet and Apollo if they had 5 minutes longer on this show.
What
do you think of that?
Real quick, I don't. That was what it was. Middle of the road, very much. Apollo Crews needs some steam behind him, and he just doesn't have it right now.
No, I didn't feel it with Ricochet either. This is the least ho-hum match with Rick. They said we're friends, then we have this match next week, then the draft. It was just. All right, I get it. We're all talking about the draft. It just felt like another thing talking about the draft. That was the part that didn't do it for me. Other people asking here, I can't find the question. It flew by. They were asking Kevin and Robert, what do you think of the new commentary team? A little bit of fumbles tonight for Jerry Lawler.
I think Jerry Lawler sucks. And that's
a reach. That's a reach, Robert. He does not suck.
2019 Jerry Lawler sucks. And that's coming from somebody who loves Jerry Lawler. We'll go back and watch a Jerry Lawler match probably as soon as we get off the air because I'm a huge fan. But he's clearly not cut out for that role right now.
I didn't think it was that bad. I did enjoy how flustered they got after they were trying to find their position back at the table after the last woman standing match because they got disrupted from their commentary position. And I thought I did not think it was that bad. Other people just saying, Jerry's getting old. Yeah, he's getting old. But I like the idea of that you have an older position. You have an older audience, too. I think older fans need to be represented on TV, and this is a way you can do that and not have to have them be physical.
I can agree with that, but I think, honestly, Lawler's better with physicality. I just saw him wrestle not that long ago, and he's so fantastic in the ring. But with the new restrictions on commentary, it just doesn't have the same vibe.
Okay, I agree to disagree. Jimmy Williams, Jimmy Dub, he says, I like the pro sports crossover. Of course, the guy with the football jersey texting you here likes the pro sports crossover that WWE's done in the past years. LT versus Bam Bam, still the best. A lot of people didn't like that match with Lawrence Taylor and Bam Bam at WrestleMania 11. And we have Floyd Mayweather versus Big Show. I mean, this is definitely a sports crossover for WWE.
You got two of them right now, and they're huge. One in boxing and one in MMA. And that could we see Tyson Fury versus Cain Velasquez in a WWE ring? You never know with these possibilities.
I think you would see that in a WWE ring before you'd see it in a boxing ring or a UFC ring.
That's true. How long did it take to get McGregor and Mayweather together?
Questions here. We'll take a couple as they come in. JR saying, Big Kev and Robert, you spoke of 205 Live. Is that show? Is that still a show after losing the title to NXT? It didn't lose the title to NXT. There is mixed information about the future of WWE 205 Live. From what we heard, Triple H officially said that their cruiserweight talent would be merged into WWE NXT. And that's the truth. Now, we were told last week, and it was publicized, that 205 Live would start airing on Friday nights. Then, for whatever reason, the taping with the big Fox premiere was canceled. And so what is the future of 205 Live? It's sad to say. We don't know. I mean, it said they were going to put it on the network. Last I looked online, it's not on the schedule for Friday.
They're better off. Okay, they've already switched the title to the NXT Cruiserweight title. They're better off just quietly folding it into the NXT brand. I think it's a great show with great wrestling. I think it's overkill.
It's too much wrestling. It's just one more hour of wrestling that fans can't follow each week.
Indeed. And I think in turn that makes the quality suffer because people are already burned out. And I think in turn that makes the superstars suffer. So throw them in the mix of the hot Full Sail crowd and the cruiserweight division will be more over than ever before.
Jeff Howe saying, you guys think there's going to be a big payoff for Aleister Black? Aleister Black laid out the Singh brothers tonight, and this is his first time on TV in quite some time, and he's talking about his future in the draft. I could see him being drafted to one of the shows. He's definitely going to be in play next week. He's been a singular player on the bench, basically. Now, once again, being utilized and called up. Good timing for him to come in after pay-per-view. We'll get into the Bray Wyatt, Seth Rollins thing. We'll end with that here in a minute, but what do you think of Aleister Black? Where does he play?
He's going to Raw.
You think he's going to Raw?
He's going to Raw. And no, you know what? I think relationships will play a factor here. Because if Charlotte stays, she's linked to Andrade. Andrade likely stays. If Andrade stays, Zelina stays. And if Zelina stays, Black stays. So really, if Charlotte's on SmackDown, then Black is on SmackDown due to their significant others being a on-screen pairing. But I think Black has good chemistry with Paul Heyman behind the scenes, and I think he's better off on the Monday Night Raw brand.
Well, let's get into this. We cover this quite a bit. If you're watching our show now, you should definitely go deep into our most recent WZ Daily podcast. It is up on iTunes. It is up on all the different podcast platforms you can listen to. And if you just enjoy watching video on Facebook, we have it there as well. And WrestleZone.com, of course. Ton Barg texting you and saying, how are you going to deal with The Fiend and Rollins? who's going to have the belt when this is all done. Well, what did you think of this? WWE ran a recap, an edited recap that did not include fans booing the match, did not include all of the post-match confusion. It had a bell ringing in it. It still felt confusing coming out of last night's Hell in a Cell. And here we are. They only acknowledged it 2 hours and 45 minutes into a 3-hour telecast tonight on Raw. It was not mentioned at the top of the show. They went right into storylines. It was something I expected. I thought they would acknowledge it a little bit and then move on. We didn't get any of Seth Rollins on screen or any of Bray Wyatt. It has been reported that Bray Wyatt has not been medically cleared for action, along with Sasha Banks. No Seth Rollins on the show at all tonight. No explanation as to why he wasn't there.
Bad. It was the big... We can speak to this personally because we had so many extra people following us today because we were covering that. It was the biggest story of the entire weekend. And to deliver nothing, it almost seems disingenuous.
I'm not disagreeing with you just to disagree with you, Robert, because you know I care for your opinion, and that's why we do the show together. But I will say this. If it's such a bad storyline, why do we have to acknowledge it right away and bring it up again? And if you're in the hot seat for WWE and you're managing this situation, coming out of Sunday, you went into it, you did the storyline you thought would be the best. It didn't work. Fans were very not happy with it. You show up the next day. All right, let's ice the champion. Let's put him down for a night. We got the draft next week. Let's focus on some other things here. We have Tyson Fury, right? And if that's all going to upset fans, is the best thing to do to give them another thing that reminded them what they're upset about? I would say no. I think they did the safest option they could, and let's give a little bit more time to the mid-card. Let's give a little bit more time to Charlotte and Becky to carry this. Let's build up this celebrity angle with Fury. We don't need to remind people about that. I think if Seth Rollins came out tonight, what would happen?
They would boo him, no doubt.
Why would you put him out in the ring if they're going to boo him?
Well, now they're going to. I think you're just dragging it out.
No. I think he comes out next week and I don't think he gets the reaction. You know what I mean? This is the thing. They wait this out. You know what I mean? If they have a draft next week, guess what? People are going to want to know who's getting drafted where, right?
Right.
Clean the slate. It was bad. Let's move on. You know? They have so much content to churn out. Are we going to hang on to this that long? I mean, obviously, if the thing was bad, it was bad. But why hang on to it? Why do you have to acknowledge it? So more people can crap on it? So the people that are already angry about it can continue to be angry about it? The people that use it as fuel to say that WWE is the worst? I get it. I'm just being logical. That's it. If it was bad and I didn't enjoy it, why would I want to see more of it?
Well, I just think that at some point, whenever they do it now, they're going to get a negative reaction. I just want it to be something where it's like, boom, we're right back on track. Lost the footing there, but we're right back on track.
Then let it happen. Let it simmer for a week. If people are so mad about last night, why do you have to remind them about it? Let it go. Let it go, and let's start a new storyline. You can do something completely new with Bray Wyatt and completely new with Seth Rollins in the championship. You have the draft next week. That's all about rebooting everything already. You know, the shows have a new look. They have pyro. They have different things. Let's go somewhere else. That's where I think it went, and I'm okay with that.
Do you think they split this angle completely and put the Fiend on SmackDown?
I know we've known that Fox executives, right? It's all about Fox and NBC now drafting these different rosters. I know Fox wants him, but I don't know how he would fit into the sports vibe if he's such a, supernatural character.
I think, well, as a fan, give me your reaction to that. They did this thing, they ice it. Hey, look who's on SmackDown. It's the Fiend. How do you feel about that?
Because then eventually you're going to have to do Brock versus the Fiend, right? And he's just this character that has a whole nother vibe to him. I don't know if that's ideal. I don't know where that would go. Someone's Erica Root saying, "We aren't playing Frozen, are we? Let it go. Let it go. The match was not good. You should let it go." Other questions coming in here. Who you keep Raw or SmackDown? Draft them for NXT.
Hold on.
The draft does not include NXT. This is only Raw.
Why would you draft Bray Wyatt to NXT?
No, come on. Don't do that. You don't need to do it. Doesn't need to happen.
And I keep him on Raw. I think right now Raw is a kooky show, and he's a kooky character, and you get kooky together.
Johnny Yu said they should have had a winner, then stripped the title. No, they don't need to strip anyone of a title. This is ridiculous.
What? Okay. I think I think that's a good comment right there to just end it on. I think we're done. You had your Raw post show. We're out. Oh,
we're done. We got through the Hell in a Cell thing. Clean your hands of it. We're done.
We all know Bart. Jesus. We all know Brock Lesnar will still be a part-timer and a waste of space whatever roster he's on. Actually, he's making more money and he's a huge draw. You can't disagree with that. I don't have to like the fact that he beat Kofi Kingston in 4 seconds. In fact, I hate it because Dean Ambrose came at this man with a chainsaw, but all Cain Velasquez has to do is take his shirt off and Brock Lesnar's, pissing his pants. But whatever.
Quit applying logic. I know it's ridiculous. Join us tomorrow. We will be back to WC Daily streaming live right around 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you can listen to those anytime you want. Download the podcast. Search Wrestlezone on iTunes or your podcast app of choice. And also follow me on Twitter. Tomorrow I will be in Chicago at Shakers on Clark. Free comedy show. It's going to be a fun time. 9 p.m. We're going to be right there, not too far from Wrigley Field. You want to come out and check out the show, follow me on Twitter.
I got a showcase of the Tuesdays, and it's still Monday. What am I doing here?
Oh,
hey-oh.
Ridiculous. Robert, I know you're busy to give you a follow at DeFelice.
Yeah, you can follow me there. I do a lot of things. I'm the guy who does SmartCountMoment.com, great fan site. I do Fightful, great site. Wrestlezone, greater site.
Thank you.
E-Wrestling News is a site as well. And I do all of it because money. All right. All right. End the show. I'm
done. I'm done. I talked about wrestling. We talked about it for 2 hours today. We're done. All right. Thank you so much, Robert. We'll be back tomorrow. Subscribe to the podcast. Join us Wednesday for the Wednesday Night War Zone, immediately following AEW and NXT. Looking forward to it. And remember, when you watch wrestling, the most important thing is that you enjoy wrestling.